How are we doing, Dal alum? Absolutely lovely to see you. My name is Andy Hay and welcome to my kitchen, the East Coast kitchen, where we are going to make one of the most quintessentially delicious East Coast classic dishes, the seafood chowder. Now, everyone from these parts have their own secret family recipes, different things that go in it, and different ways that they serve and prepare it. Today, I'm gonna show you mine. My seafood chowder is smoky. I love the depth of flavor that comes from a double smoked bacon. I've got smoked haddock. We're gonna add in some really amazing seafood. We've got some scallops, some lobster, of course, and some cod. And on top of that, we'll start building some flavors. I'll talk you through every single step, but get ready. This is going to be a hug for the soul directly from the East Coast. So without further ado, folks, let's make some chowder. So I absolutely love this dish. It really just speaks to my soul. So what we're gonna do is get a pot, a rather large pot if you're serving a big crowd, get that over medium-high heat. While that's heating, I'll just walk you through what ingredients we're gonna need to make this at home. So I have the base of how we're gonna build this is smoked really smoky bacon. So I've got 3 slices of smoky bacon. I've got 2 relatively small onions diced up. I've probably got about a cup and a half of diced up leeks. I love leeks in my chowders. I find it has that onion flavor without being too overpowering. Stuff you could add in here, you could obviously add in some carrots, some celery would be lovely. I do have 1 diced potato. I just let it sit in some water just so that those potatoes don't get browned up. I'm also gonna use some of that water to thicken up the actual chowder itself because it's gonna be totally gluten-free while we're building this. So that itself is gonna be the foundation of flavor for this chowder. From there, you know it's gonna be all about that seafood. So we've got some, before I get into the seafood, I do have some milk, some whole milk, and then a little bit of cream. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. So seafood-wise, you can use whatever you want. You can make this a basic fish chowder, but add in whatever you have accessible to you. I'm gonna be quite generous today, because why not? It's for Dal alum. I've got some beautiful scallops. With the scallops, make sure that you remove the little abductor. There's a little muscle on the side of that. Make sure that you remove that or it can just be a little bit tough. I've got some beautiful Atlantic cod fillets. Any white fish will do beautifully. I have this smoked haddock. So on the East Coast, this is something you can get basically at any grocery store. It is so delicious and one of my favorite ingredients to go into a chowder. Just brings, again, more seafood, but another level of that smokiness that I find just so craveable. So that I just diced up a little bit ago, and then I had some lobster kicking around as East Coasters do, so we'll add in a touch of lobster. We'll finish with a little bit of dill, maybe a little bit of lemon zest. This will be a really lovely bowl of chowder. Okay, so I can smell that is almost a temp here. So first thing we're gonna wanna do is wash your hands. Obviously, I did that before we started rolling here, and I'm just gonna pop in a little bit of that bacon. So that's 3 slices of double smoked bacon. I might add in a touch of olive oil just to make that sizzle away a little bit more. We wanna invite that fat to reduce out of that bacon there, but we don't want it to get crispy. We don't need to take it that far. So just let that reduce down. Once it's kind of soft, but not crispy, we will remove it from the actual chowder itself, but use that flavor, the essence, to add in those beautiful onions, the leeks, and those potatoes to saute those down. But we'll let this do its work and I'll catch you back momentarily. Okay, we're cooking live here. I pulled a little head fake on you there. I said take that bacon out, but I thought, you know what, that's just too complicated. Another dish that you have to do, so don't even worry about it. What I did do is I just added in those beautiful leeks and diced onions. So again, it was about 2 small onions I diced up and about a cup and a half of the leeks. I used both the stalk, the white end, as well as the green end just for color. So that's coming along. The smell here is incredible. Your house is going to smell amazing, because I know mine certainly does right now. So we're just gonna let that stew down a little bit. I'll show you what that looks like momentarily. I just took out a little bit of that starch water. I saved it off to the side, and I'm just gonna pour in that 1 baking potato into the mix here and just let that get cozy with those beautiful aromatics of the onions, leeks, and bacon. That in itself is delicious. You put in a little bit of cream and you basically have a bacon leek chowder on your hands, which would be delicious, not quite as delicious as the seafood chowder. So we're just gonna let that get a little bit cozy, saute away a little bit more. One thing I forgot to even mention that we're going to need is some Nova Scotia white wine or some Nova Scotia cider, which is really, really delicious. Nova Scotia has some amazing ciders, so that's what I'm gonna use, because I want a little, I like the apple flavor that comes in with the smokiness of the bacon. I find it can be really lovely. But if you have white wine on hand, use that. So that is coming along. The reason why we're going to add in this little bit of liquid is to deglaze the pan. So on the bottom of a pan like this, when we put that bacon in, or if you sear a steak, for example, you're gonna get little brown bits that stick to the bottom of the pan. What we do here is we add this liquid in to deglaze the pan, which essentially means those brown bits, which are packed with flavor, get released from the bottom of the pan and get into the actual liquid itself. Not only do we get that cider flavor, we're getting that extra little bit of flavor, and that is what cooking is all about. So this is looking great here. I'll give you a little quick peek. Looking pretty sharp. And now I'm just gonna pop in probably about a couple tablespoons of that cider. We wanna make sure that the temperature's pretty hot here because we want that alcohol to burn off. So I'm just gonna let this stew away for a couple minutes before we add in the cream and start cooking down those potatoes, because you never want a hard potato finding its way into your chowder. Not if I'm helping you out here, not a chance. So I'm just gonna let that stew away for a couple minutes. I'll catch you in, let's say, 3 minutes. Okay, that cider has really reduced down. This smells spectacular. So what we're gonna do now is add in the milk. So I'm using fully homogenized milk here, and I'm using a little bit of cream. I don't have the exact amounts right now. I'm gonna eyeball it, but don't worry, I'll make sure you have the full recipe in the show notes below. So what we're gonna do is pour in this full homogenized milk, and I just wanna put in enough to cover all of the potatoes. And then just to thicken it up, I'm gonna add in a little bit of the cream. This is totally up to you. If you really like a creamy chowder, add in more of the 35% cream. I'm in the middle. I don't want it too thick, I don't want it too thin. So I'm gonna add in probably the better part of a half of cup of that cream. So now I'm gonna have the temperature here around like medium-ish, just to slowly cook those potatoes. Like I said earlier, you don't want a raw potato. It'll ruin the whole texture of the chowder that we're building here. So I'm just gonna let this simmer away until those potatoes are nice and fork soft. While that's happening, this is the perfect time to get prepared with your fish. So like I said, I'm gonna use scallops. This is just frozen, freshly frozen lobster meat. I already diced up some of this beautiful smoked haddock. I highly encourage you to get this into your chowders. It's super delicious. Available in most grocery stores, at least on the East Coast. And then a white fish. So with the white fish, you could dice this up if you like. What I like to do is put the whole fish fillet into the chowder when it's nice and warm, and it just slowly cooks, and then it flakes apart really naturally. So I like those flaky pieces of fish opposed to like the cubed white fish itself. So that now it's just a little bit of a waiting game. We're gonna wait for those potatoes to get soft, and it might take 10 minutes. Relax, maybe have a glass of that Tidal Bay white wine while that does soften up. And I'll see you back here momentarily, but the smells are beautiful right now. Enjoy that. If you are super ambitious, maybe make some tea biscuits, because nothing goes better with chowder than a fresh tea biscuit. Okay, we're in great shape here. Those potatoes are nice and soft now. So now we're gonna add in the seafood. For this, it cooks very quickly, so you do not want to overcook things, because if we put the scallops in for too long, they'll just get too tough and rubbery. So just let this lightly poach in that beautiful smoky cream sauce. I'm gonna add in probably 2 full fillets. I've got the scallops in, probably a better part of a dozen, maybe a pound there. 2 of those fillets. I got this frozen lobster meat that I'm gonna pop in here. Don't be scared to buy frozen fresh lobster meat, it's still delicious. I'm gonna add in a fillet of smoked and diced smoked haddock, which just, again, I just can't get over how delicious of a product that is. And we're just gonna give that a little mix. Let that get all cozy in there, and just gently cook it until that, you'll know when it's done. As soon as that fish starts to flake apart, turn off the heat, you are good to serve. Serve it with some fresh tea biscuits, some crusty bread. Both of those options would be fantastic. When we're about to serve, just before, what I'm gonna do is chop up some beautiful fresh dill and just sprinkle that over the top. If you're not a dill person, no worries, just omit, no problem at all. We'll add in a little bit of dill. I will grate in a little bit of that lemon zest just to brighten things up, just because there is so much smokiness and depth with that smoked haddock and the smoked bacon. That will balance things out. But we are looking good. The smells in here are incredible. We are moments away from an amazing East Coast seafood chowder. Okay, that seafood is lovely, very tender. Don't overcook it here, that is key. So I'm gonna turn off the heat. And now what we're gonna do is just make sure that it's properly seasoned, everything tastes delicious. I'm gonna add in some of that dill. Again, if dill's not your thing, no worries, I like the flavor that dill brings to this, a little bit of extra color. I'm gonna add some directly into the chowder and I'll finish with a little bit as well. I'm gonna add in a little bit of salt. Be careful with the salt here, taste away, just because that bacon could be quite salty, so don't overdo it. And then the last piece I'm gonna add in is just a little bit of lemon zest. So this will just brighten things up. I mentioned this a little bit before, but just a little bit of lemon zest can go a long way. So I'm just gonna give that a quick stir. It smells so good. That lemon zest just brings it all together, brightens it all up. I just love the smell of it. Might need a little bit more salt, but oh, that is so nice. Okay, I'm gonna serve this up in a bowl. This is going to be delicious. Cannot wait to show you. That smells absolutely incredible. One of my favorite meals in the world. And this is not the time to not be generous. As much seafood as possible in there. Without further ado, I'm gonna give this a taste. Oh. Smoky, creamy, a little bit of that lemon coming through, that dill brings a little bit of freshness. That is really, really lovely. A love letter from the East Coast. I love that dish. Dal alum, I hope you enjoy that. Make that one at home. That should become a staple for special occasions when you're missing East Coast cuisine. I'm Andy Hay. I appreciate you swinging by the East Coast Kitchen. Until next time, I will see you later.